What's up, guys? I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is Frodan and Artosis. And I got to say, it's been a fantastic IeSF so far.
Certainly it has been, Tasteless. We already have some people advancing to the next round. And we will go ahead and let's actually go over some of the countries that we do know that are getting out.
Yeah.
It looks like from Group C, Romania and Austria advance. And that's going to be Ardiu and Ione. And in fact, from Group D, it looks like Tunisia and Azerbaijan advance with Finland and Russia falling.
That's right. We had both those players up earlier on stream with Nazgul versus Wampy, and we thought that Wampy was one of the stronger players in the entire tournament.
He was one of the guys that we really knew before.
Yeah.
But whether or not it's an upset, well, that remains to be seen.
And the match we have coming up here is very exciting. It's going to be Vortex against, and I hope I don't butcher this, Kanugan. Maybe just Kanugan. There's no question mark at the end of that. Kanugan.
Wouldn't the K be silent? So it'd be Nugan?
Nugan?
Yeah.
I think we got to go with Kanugan. I think this is a lot more fun.
I think Kanugan is better.
Kanugan sounds like it could be like a situation you got yourself in. Like I got myself into a real Kanugan back there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but we don't call him Ganimsh.
Well, that's where you guys were messing up. I'm glad I'm here casting Hearthstone with you now, or this would just be a complete disaster.
Actually, Ekup told me it was Ganimsh. It's like a Polish pronunciation.
Really?
No.
Well, I guess we have evidence here. It's 3 Americans casting this right now. We're
very cultured.
Sure. Very cultured people.
Let's talk about the bands of these guys.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that
for a moment here. It looks like Kanugan brought with him Hunter, Warlock, Priest, and Druid, and his Warlock was banned. That's pretty common so far for today.
We've seen a lot of that here at this tournament.
Yeah. And Vortex brought with him Warlock, Warrior, Priest, and Hunter, and the Hunter was actually banned. So what does this tell us, Frodan, about what Kanugan's thought process is to ban a Hunter deck?
Well, if he bans a Hunter, he feels really comfortable that his lineup can take on Warlock with either kind of Warlock. And I think that's really dangerous because it could really backfire. Like it depends what kind of Warlock this deck is, can dictate the rest of the series easily. On the flip side, maybe Kanugan knows what Warlock it is.
Yeah, maybe
we haven't seen the other group games, so perhaps he got information of what it is already. So he says, well, if I know what it is, I can prepare for it, and I don't have to be worried about it. Versus, I can ban Hunter, which is clearly the stronger deck.
Yeah, that is a good point. We're a little bit deeper here in the tournament. There's been more games played, so maybe there's not as much surprises for these guys coming into this.
It's a very good point. I think pretty accurate as well. I think that's probably what's going on here. So he knows that either, I have extra BGHs because this is handlock, or, I actually have lots of anti-aggro because it's Zoo. But it looks like the first match is going to start off, and it looks like we will have Vortex playing Warrior into a Druid deck by Kanugan.
That is going to be a tough matchup because Warrior is great against 2 out of 3 of these decks, and he got the worst one.
He did.
Wow.
Well,
it looks like he's going to mulligan everything here.
This is an ominous Druid, too. It's in grayscale. It reminds me of a trailer I've seen recently.
I feel like we're looking at this after this Druid died or something, like it's going back in time.
Oh, yeah. It's like on Respawn.
That's how they do it in the movies.
Wow.
Is, yeah.
I thought he just chose a funny filter on Instagram.
That's right. Oh, man.
I actually want to ask you this question real quick, Frodan. He threw back Fiery War Axe. Do you like that?
Yeah, against Druid, what do you get at Fiery War Axe usually that allows you to early on? The only thing you can is if they have a very quick 2-drop of some sort, like a Haunted Creeper, and even then it's inefficient. Yeah. So Fiery War Axe, even though it's one of the best early game cards you can have as Warrior, usually not that effective against Druid.
All right. Well,
neither is that card.
Yeah. Turn 2, we're going to have the Unstable Ghoul out here.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is I guess, he had the Acolyte of Pain in his hand, so I guess if he wants to get that out here. And here we are in the flashback of the reality TV
Yeah, exactly.
You're
right.
Last week in Hearthstone. Black and white here. Yeah, previously in Hearthstone. Man, if it was Warrior versus Warrior, we could say previously.
Well, actually,
Fatigue Wars.
Well, you're right. If it was Warrior versus Warrior, it would be a week from now when this game would finish.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, when this match started,
you said the Harrison is not very useful against Druid. Obviously, Druid doesn't have any weapons, but how could a Druid get a weapon against a Warrior?
Well, you can take a Time Traveler machine and get Blingtron 3000 from Goblins versus Gnomes, and then play that.
I think that's banned in our rules, though.
No, actually, this is less realistic than that. You could faceless and Arathi Weaponsmith, then bounce it to your hand and play it.
With a youthful Brewmaster.
That's right.
Wow.
No, well, not,
oh, man.
Do you really want youthful? I think you want the other Brewmaster.
The ancient Brewmaster.
Yeah. You're playing your Druid deck. You get ramp, right? So
that's true.
That's how you could get that card to have some use.
Oh, it looks like he was debating using the coin here. Is he perhaps going to? I thought he was going to go with Acolyte of Pain, but
yeah,
I guess he doesn't
seems
have
like
to.
a pretty good play.
The only thing is if you play the Death's Bite now, you can guarantee draw 2 cards off the Acolyte.
Oh, that's a very good point.
And 2 cards always turns into 3.
That's actually
right, because at that point,
true.
they give up on the Acolyte. Like, okay, well, you already drew an extra card.
Yeah,
like,
we're going to use a silence.
Are you really going to? Yeah, exactly. Silence it to just deny 1 draw. Okay, so this is actually a great play here.
Well, it's
by Vortex.
Well, I think does Druid have the right answer to this though?
Well,
find out on last week's episode of Hearthstone.
Oh. Well, let's see. What cards does he have at his disposal?
It's a little
there?
hard to tell. You know, I usually go based off color, and you know, I actually realized the struggle of some Hearthstone players that actually probably can't recognize.
We're gonna look in that player cam and see Charlie Chaplin's playing this game or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
That's funny. You know, and he played around Wrath perfectly.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to avoid from the beginning.
Yeah. But there is another Wrath in hand.
I like how you said that, Artosis. That was really
That's
good.
right.
Can you cast this whole tournament like that?
The Ascension Shield Master might be
it has
coming
been
out.
drawn.
Man,
a
it's like
4-mana taunt.
It's like the American
put
dub
on
of
the
an
board.
anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Vegeta fight off this?
Oh, that was perfect.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That brought me back. Okay, so we end the turn here. The Shade of Naxxramas goes up to 4-3.
Yeah, and in fact, an entire shade takes over
And next
this
time
portion
on
of the map.
on I Love Lucy, we got back over here. Wild Growth being drawn here.
I don't feel like that's a very good draw right now. Like, he may end up saving that the entire time, but it might still get fit in somewhere. Anything could happen.
Yep.
Let's see.
I think Azure Drake is fine. Like, you're not going to get around playing this second activation of Deathbite, and at least it pays for itself with the card.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, Azure Drake is one of the weaker things to actually hit with it, just because they did refill. So it's like you're spending half a card for kind of half a card.
Well, actually, he hit the Druid's face, right? So, in fact, that Deathbite pretty much got no card advantage for the Warrior.
Yeah,
that's very true. Well, I think the only play here is Azure Drake. When in doubt, I guess.
Well,
go Azure Drake, and that's what
That's
it's
what,
going to be now.
they say. When in doubt, Azure Drake.
Yeah, that's why it rhymes.
Because it draws a card. And, gives you spell power also.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is where you get the big swings as Warrior. Like, getting these early draws are so important because Warrior benefits off of lining up their removal correctly. Wow, instant replay.
And
so drawing more answers is always the best way to deal with these Druid decks.
And you know all about that because I was watching you play Tasteless before the day started, and 2 games in a row, both your Acolytes in both decks drew 3 cards.
Oh, yeah. And you're just screwed.
I never see that. Like, my Acolytes get 1-2 cards, and, like, Ferdinand's like, well, I don't know. I'll just draw 6 cards off these 2 cards. It's pretty sick, right? That's a good move, right?
Do
and I'm like,
time.
yeah, that is a good move. He's like, all right, I'll do that then.
Every time.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what the plays are here then for our Druid right now, Knugan.
What do you think about clearing this up with
Force of Nature?
Force of Nature.
Force of Nature.
You know what? I think it's okay, generally speaking, if you have a second Force of Nature. The first one you're somewhat hesitant to part ways with. You don't have much card draw in your deck, and like the only thing you have right now is Wrath, or you're waiting 4 turns to potentially draw these Wild Growths. I actually don't mind like dropping Lotheb here. It's okay. It challenges the board, and you know he hasn't been able to deal with Shade yet, and Shade just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, that Shade
would lock the turn here. So
the Shade is actually getting rather large. How big is the biggest Shade you've seen actually go to face?
I watched Savitz go Innervate Shade, Coin Shade, and wait till they're 8-8 and 9-9.
That's basically as big as I ever see them. Right. That they actually make it into an attack.
Yeah, they grow up so fast.
Yeah. Normally by then you have to actually use them to remove a minion because you're like, well, I guess I've had this card out all game and it's done nothing for me, and now I'm in trouble.
I mean, you start off, and then before you know it, you're sending them off to college. It's pretty crazy.
All right, so he draws Sludge Belcher there.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Warrior didn't get any card advantage the first Death Spite, the fact is he's stabilizing. He has a taunt. It gets scary when your opponent starts getting into combo range, but, you know, yeah,
combo
got
range.
some time.
Hey.
Yep.
He could actually combo next turn, and that would be 7 plus 14.
Oh, you're right.
No, that'd be 9 plus 14. That'd be 25.
Wow, that would be...
Okay, so that's actually lethal if he just goes Wild Growth, Hero Power into face.
Well, you don't even have to Wild Growth. Just Wild Growth once.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, yeah.
Hero
And
Power.
then you would use Wrath here for that, so 3 damage on that.
This
Hero
is
Power.
really clever.
Use your Druid to hit into the taunt. And, yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah,
He can Wild Growth. Wait, is he not going to?
He will Wild Growth because this gives him lethal.
Oh, that's the end button.
Whoa. Missed lethal.
Well, I mean, we had Sludge Belcher,
Yeah.
so it's not, but...
I feel like we're
No,
in the chat
it's more
right now.
dramatic to say missed lethal, so whoa.
Yeah.
Okay,
Whoa.
so let's look at this now.
Whoa.
This turn is not going to go the way that he thought it was. Now we have a Sludge Belcher coming out here. So there's once again another taunt up.
Right. Man,
so I suppose it wasn't the end of the world that didn't do that back there.
Do you know what the Shaded Naxxramas is? It's a Ravenholt Assassin.
Oh, that's exactly what it is
It's
until
a
next turn.
7/5 stealth, yeah.
Look at that.
Wow.
Well, what do you think for this? What does he want to silence the taunt then?
Probably.
You might as well. You have 2 Keepers, Keeper of the Groves in your hand, excuse me.
Yeah, I think a silence is pretty solid here.
And then,
because like he has to see the lethal. He just maybe didn't see it with Wild Growth.
I'm not sure there's much else he can do this turn beyond that too. By the way, all these other cards have utility later on in the game.
It shows that he recognizes Druid's weak drawing, and he wants to keep these for cycling.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I agree a lot with what you said. I think putting out this Keeper of the Grove is just another body. He's going to be doing damage to himself to clear a little bit. And he's going to be pushing damage now.
7 damage, 17. Excuse me, 7 damage, and then +1 to put our hero at 17 HP.
Yes, that's right. Our hero over here,
Vortex.
the villain. Clearly, look at his side is in black and white, and he has a huge shade.
So the color
it's a bit shady, if you ask me.
It is.
It is.
You know.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, guys.
You know, being able to clear this off with pretty much execute, and then you can set up your own Sludge Belcher and armor up, Warrior is still in a pretty decent spot.
Yep.
But there is a second Keeper of the Grove. So once this taunt gets dealt with, it's still a little bit scary. The nice thing, though, is that Warrior's actually done a little damage to Druid. Like, look, it's at 16 health, and you can start chopping away.
That's right. You have a couple 3-attack minions out there, so definitely can get some work done with them.
So what do you guys think? Another silence right here on the taunt. What other taunts would be in the Warriors deck, do you think, right now? We had
Actually, those are the 2 taunts.
Well, he used the one ghoul. The one
yeah, he
ghoul.
did have an unstable ghoul. Unstable ghoul you don't always see.
But you don't normally have 2 of those in this deck, do you? Normally just 1?
A lot of times we don't even see one right now.
Yeah.
But,
it depends if you sense a lot of aggro in the metagame.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong, but... Oh, this is also interesting.
Okay.
He's choosing to eliminate because he feels like he might be under pressure to die. He's at 17 health, and if his opponent had the cool Taskmaster and Gromosh, he'd lose. So he's playing around... Oh, I guess he...
This is actually a pretty good draw here, too, with Lothab. To at least
that's
stall
true.
out,
Delay the combo.
Yeah, to stall out that combo.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if you Lothab and start chopping away with your War Axe, you have 8 power on the board. And
yeah, that's pretty scary, actually.
That you could end up winning
Druids
in the next
do not
turn.
play a lot of taunts either. Like, that's a lot of incoming damage.
We had no taunts in the Druid's hand, right? Back then, there was nothing, correct?
He has combo and 2 Wild Growths
and
a big game hunter. So that's his hand right now.
Wow, Frodan.
That's right.
I mean,
whoa. Frodan, more like Rain Man, yeah. We've casted too much together. We actually came up with the same joke delivered in 2 different ways.
Oh, well,
you don't know Rain Man? You know,
I mean, that was before my time, but he was a really smart dude, right?
Well,
in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, yes. All right.
Yes. Well, I don't really believe you after that 3-second laugh.
In the cup. That was what the joke was. Like he was perfect with numbers, but not much else. But
gotcha.
I digress. Well,
you certainly do. Well, it doesn't. I guess he's going to play the Lothab. No Fire War X this turn, but that's all right. Not a biggie. Removing the minion is important just because of potential combos.
I would have liked it just solely for the fact that you might threaten to kill your opponent if he doesn't do anything.
Okay, so what's the draw? Innervate. That is not helpful right now, Prodan.
No, it's not. In fact, 4 or 5 out of the 6 cards in his hand are spells, and only one of them is remotely playable.
Wild Growth is...
I think it should innervate and then turn. What do you think, Artosis?
You can innervate a Wild Growth. That's what you can do.
Yeah, that's true. He could do that. But I think just Wild Growth is better.
Might be
I think Hero Power Pass
a
is
slim
better.
margin.
Well,
actually,
I think Pass Mistakes Were Made is better.
I mean, you might just die.
Yeah. Well, this is a really tough turn here.
Here's something that
no play is really pretty here.
Here's a trap that players can easily fall into. Just to go back a couple turns, is that Knugan feels like he has to remove here, but if he didn't spend that Keeper of the Grove a couple of turns ago to eliminate as opposed to go for taunt, he was playing to survive. But you only can play to survive for like a turn or two, versus you can actually set up for 2 turns to kill your opponent. So I think this is a scenario where playing really safe bit him in the butt.
I gotta say, this was probably the best possible move he could have done this turn.
Yeah.
Was using Savage Roar like that.
It may have been. I wouldn't actually have minded him cycling, to be honest. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I guess he might as well drop Harrison Jones now. There's not.
Do you feel like revealing it is worth it?
Yeah. In a best of 3 like this, you might as well just win game 1, and then if you lose with this deck, go try to hard counter him.
I think that was. I think it was just a solid play overall. It's.
Sometimes Harrison being played actually messes with the opponent even more, because it's like, well, yes, Harrison, do I ever play a weapon ever again?
That's true.
Yeah.
Do I just throw him in the winter shed?
Sometimes you have to throw him in the winter shed because obviously Harrison Jones can't get them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a temple,
That's exactly what I was
thinking. It's not a temple.
thinking.
He can't get in there.
It's not a temple.
No. It doesn't belong in a museum.
Well, now he
in a winter shed.
He can clear the board and barely stay alive. But is that any way to live?
Well, it's the only way to live.
And a choice between life or death.
Choose life.
At this point, the black and white has become a memory montage for Knugan. Like, you had the sad violin
Knugan actually has his eyes closed, or had his eyes closed back there for a second.
He's trying to figure out what he wants to draw with that.
Yeah.
And the answer is 3 innervates. Can't do that, though. That doesn't work.
The game doesn't work like that.
No, unfortunately.
No. Okay, so we're going to have excess mana, and it's going to be Defender of Argus.
Oh, that's interesting that he has Defender in his deck.
Yeah, I was not expecting to see that card at all.
That's
certainly not
reminiscent of a Strife Crow, of how he used to play his Druid with a lot of Defender targets, with Haunted Creeper, Shade of Naxxramas, even the Echoing Ooze. But I don't really think we see that in the deck at all. And how painful is this? Knugan had Big Game Hunter lined up for this matchup, but he never had an opportunity to get use off of it.
No.
He just acts as a 4-2 body.
Yeah, nothing really worked out for him here. I got to jump back to a previous play.
Oh, that's game.
Yes, it should be game right here.
A lot of different ways you could end this one, but.
Yep, and he does the one that this was actually a really smart one instead of the Owl, because you don't know if there's a silence. A lot of Warrior decks are running a silence now, but that was a smart way to end it. I want to jump back that one turn where he could have used, he could have set up lethal for the next turn. How much?
The Wild Growth?
Yeah, the wild growth thing.
Or no, you had
single Wild Growth, remove
wild growth.
the taunt, and then try to combo out the next turn with the huge shade. How big of a mistake was this, Frodan?
Yeah, even if he doesn't have the second Sludge Belcher, I think you have to set up for that, because the point is Warrior has a really difficult time being able to push itself out of combo every single turn and be really defensive and be able to threat. Like, it's 3 things that they're trying to do at the same time. And if you're always putting your mana to that threshold, they're always worried about it at that point. You might get some suboptimal plays versus if you're just allowing him, like, if you're at 8 mana the next turn, it's like, oh, I still have 1 more mana. That's 1 less card to play around. And the probability actually makes it in Warrior's favor. So I think you're right and spot on with that analysis.
I think we're going to take a quick break. We're going to try to get that black and white screen fixed. It should not take very long, so stay tuned. We'll be back here at IeSF.